Greetings, Grumpy Chuck. I'm the Edge from Poser TV, and I'm responding to your video called Religion is Odd. Before I do that, I want to welcome you to YouTube. It looks like you're fairly new, and so am I. I just wanted to take a look at some of your videos. You subscribed to me, and now I to you, and your most recent one strikes a chord with me because I agree with you in a lot of ways, but I have some things that might be worth thinking about, maybe not. I'd love to find out what you think of this video after you've viewed it and considered it. First of all, I like the nickname. I can really relate to being grumpy, and I think what you and I might have in common from that standpoint, excuse me, is I get the most passionate and the most irritated and the most grumpy by ignorance, stupidity, lack of responsibility. Um, People are always playing the victim these days and saying it's mommy and daddy's fault or God made me do it, or the accountability's just not there. And I feel like a lot of your grumpiness, well, regardless of what topic you cover, is going to come from those core issues. And I can be just as grumpy as the next guy. So I think the name's pretty cool. I can relate. We may not agree about a great deal, but I think in as much as YouTube will allow us to get acquainted, that's pretty cool, because I have a feeling that you're one of those guys that respect people even if they disagree with you. So I'm looking forward to some sort of exchange. Okay, so let me dive into your video. I have 4 main topics I want to talk about. Let me do an overview and then dive into each one specifically. First of all, the statement, number 1, the statement that religion is odd. Number 2, you challenge somebody to send you a video that has died and come back from the dead. Number 3, you speculate that religion serves 2 purposes, one of which is to get a grip on eternity. And 4, the other reason is for people that need an institution or entity to tell them what to do. First one, religion is odd. I agree. We have messed this thing up. Forget all the other religions for a second. Let's just talk about Christianity. We've screwed this up. We've got 37,000 different denominations. That's 37,000 different times a huge group of people splintered off from an existing denomination whereby they thought that that group of people was doing something majorly wrong. We're not a unified body, and a lot of Christians like myself recognize that. The other thing is religion, it carries with it so many negative connotations, and there are people that call themselves religious that I am very suspect of. Not that they don't have these hokey little things and necklaces that they rub and prayers that they say and traditions that they follow, but that there's no relationship implication in the word religion or religious. And Christ was a relational, he still is a relational being. And if you're just making holy crosses across your forehead, or you're rubbing a rosary bead, or you're dancing around in circles with poisonous snakes, you're just doing some sort of pomp and circumstantial tradition that I don't really understand. That's not a relationship. It's almost a superstition. So we agree there. Man has really made a mess of things, and we call that religion. It is man's attempt, however, to get to know God. Which God, you might argue, because some people don't worship the God I worship. But it's man's attempt to do that, and it's man's failure. And I agree, it's odd. Now, point 2, you challenge people to respond that have died and come back. I have not died and come back, but it is a very well-documented phenomenon to have an out-of-body experience. If not in the actual ages of Christ where he raised people from the dead and rose himself, we certainly have seen it a lot in the last century with the medical advances that we see. CPR alone has allowed people to be dead for several minutes. sometimes close to an hour, and they still come back. And while they all have different reports of what they see and what they encounter, they almost all have some similarities. They all usually believe wholeheartedly that the experience they had was completely and totally legitimate and true. They all pretty much admit that the colors and the lights and the things that they're experiencing are even more real than what you and I experience on a normal level. Um, they almost all either go to a good place or a bad place. And every single one of them that I've ever heard of is completely and totally changed by the experience. So there are a multitude of people. If those are the only people that can respond to you and that you're going to respect an opinion of, then research that a little bit. I even sent you a link in my first comment. If you remove the parentheses with the word dot and actually put a dot where I put those, you can go watch this man that was a pilot that was in a horrible plane crash and died. He was not a former Christian. He had nothing to gain by dying and coming back and becoming a Christian, except that the experience he went through convinced him that that was absolutely necessary. Number 3, you start to speculate what religion does for people, what purpose it serves. And your first speculation of 2 is that it gives you, or me, an answer about the afterlife, and you don't understand why people need that answer. I think you're in the minority there. I think even some of the most die-hard atheists out there, at some point in their lives have gone, what if these idiot Christians have something, and what happens when we die? I mean, do we really return to the earth, and are we dust? And I'm pretty confident that that's what happens, but what if? I think that's kind of a almost human trait to have. Maybe you've never wondered, and that's fine. And I don't doubt, too, that people like myself, some of us have come to faith by being so scared by that question that might be initially what intrigues us to investigate. I'd be hard-pressed to find a mature Christian, however, that is the only reason and the sole reason that they continue to believe as they do. I think that is a seeker-driven question. People get curious when they start asking themselves about the afterlife, and they want answers to those questions. People like myself, yeah, I'm looking forward to it, because if what I believe is absolutely true, then yay, lots of fun ahead. But I don't dwell on that much anymore, because that's just one of the things that got me thinking about the issue. So I think you may have a point there as well. But your second point kind of fell flat for me. You said the other reason you think people join a religion is that they need to be told what to do, and you don't understand that. I don't understand that either. If somebody's doing that, I can't relate to that. I don't want to be told what to do. I don't need to be told what to do. But God does have rules. He does have a law. He's instilled a lot of that in everybody, believer or not. I mean, evidence is the fact that you, for some reason, even though there's no eternal consequence to it, you for some reason don't want to commit adultery or murder or hit someone or attack anyone. But I don't join a church, and I'm not a part of my church so that they can tell me what to do. That is not a motive. That is kind of a byproduct. And there may be times that they tell me what to do, and if I research it in scriptures and I find that there's no biblical basis for what they're telling me, I'm not going to blindly follow someone, even in my own church, in a cult-like fashion and start drinking red Kool-Aid and wait for some spaceship to appear and take me off to eternity. We keep our leaders very accountable, and there's not a whole lot of new rules that can be implemented these days that haven't existed since the days of Christ, and those rules are pretty steadfast and sound. So, I'm encouraged by the fact that you are a reasonable man and that you have good thoughts and questions, and I'm hoping that you'll let me know in video form or in text form what you think about some of these things. I really kind of want to know what you think about the link I sent you and the guy that describes his death and resurrection. Until next time, this is The Edge, signing off.